but it comes from others as well. It comes from society, of even what a black person is. You know, there are places, probably all of us, and cut me off anytime, and anybody, cut me off, jump in. There are places where I bet all of us, I'll speak for myself, where when you go in, if I can just say this, if it's too white and too rich, something's like, man, I don't belong here. Not because that's inherently true in terms of creation and you are a being in God's image and everybody is, but just because that's the game. That's the way it is. And then also, you know, it's not about black. It's really not about black or white, but what I'm talking about is, so they have a thought too. And they look at you like, well, you know, who the hell are you? How did you get here?
Exactly. And then we have a thought about their thought.
Yeah.
We have a thought about what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And then our thought about what they're thinking is the reality in which we experience, and which we occur and show up as though that's the core of what we are. But the word you used a minute ago, I take a moment, the word time, I heard somebody say that, because I remember when I was working on my dissertation, it's like this thing called time, because everything is mathematical, everything is da-da-da. So they said that time is the distance between 2 points in consciousness. There's where you are, and there's where you'd like to be. So time is the distance in between where you are in consciousness and where you'd like to be. So it's not something in and of itself. It's just where you are in consciousness. That is the distance called time in between where you are, what you have and what you don't have, where you are and what you like to be, and what you have and what you don't have. So you can see that it's all an inside job. It's all from the core. You see that you get to see what we are as creators. And so perhaps that's what has been, so to speak, forbidden or overshadowed, because once you really get that you are the core, you're the center, what we are is the center of it all. Imagine that.
Yes. Now here's a little physics here. 3 terms that go together in physics: work, power, and time.
Yes.
Work is something that has to get done. So let's say I have to lift this from here to here. That takes a certain amount of work, a certain amount of energy. And how long does it take to get from here to here? How long does it take? That depends on how much power is being applied. So if I don't have much power and it takes, oh my God, it can take an hour for this to happen. But if I got enough power, it just happens. But that's for anything. So if whatever has to be done, or whatever we decide has to be done, or whatever is ahead of us, of course we know there is an infinite power that will, you said time is the distance between.
In consciousness.
Yeah, 2 points of.
In consciousness.
Yeah, right, yeah. So how long will it take you? So this was the thing with the genocide too in Rwanda. How long does it take to forgive? I mean, and these are people who literally, this man kills my parents and my siblings, and now he doesn't go to jail, and they're talking about forgive. But how long does it take you to forgive?
Which is, how long does it take you to let go of what's holding you? Because if you're holding unforgiveness, guess who's being held?
Right. And yes, and I think it's about how long does it take to get from unforgiveness to forgiveness? That depends on how much power you're working with. Yes, you got a mic.
I was listening to everything that was said, and it brought me to something that I have some trouble with, and it has to do with the individual experience of otherness, because in the genocide anecdote, if you will. You had groups, right, that all have like customs and they all have like kind of this the familiarity based on their classification, and there's a long line of tradition and shared experiences. And that was like kind of the classification moment between, group A and group B, and then in a sense the determination of group A and the determination of group B, which, you know, you would not want it to be like that or whatever, what have you. Point is, I find in my existence I have an individualized life quite a lot more. It consists of an amalgamation of a lot of different experiences and storylines and existences and things like that. So my sense of belonging is oftentimes shaken by that. And so there are a few rooms that I can walk into and not feel a little uncomfortable because I don't feel like I belong for little small, this reason or in this way or in this and that. And that puts me in an agitated state sometimes, a state of worry, because you just don't know what you're going to be subject to because of that. The sense of feeling that you might either be beguiled into something you really don't know you're being beguiled to because you just don't know their customs and what they're really saying.
So, Jess, what within you is shifting given depending on where you are? Given where you are with yourself, what's being shifted when you're in different places? When you're with different people, when you're in different circumstances, different situations, what within you is shifting? That's the place to look. What within the self of myself is shifting with these people, is shifting in this situation, is shifting in this circumstance.
I'm going to put that in English. That was good. That's the right question.
Okay, but wait. This one on the board, I'm going to tell in a minute. But Eric, can you bring that on the board, please? Because I get it. Because how I grew up, I didn't fit in any place, didn't belong any place. I had to get over that, and I found it was all coming from, it was all within the self of myself that I was projecting onto the parent came through, the people, the environments where I was, and when I got that, it was all that there was no external, there was nothing outside of where I was with myself, which is a very hard thing to do because you've got to confront your worldview. You've got to confront how you present yourself. Confront your personality, your personality ego. All of that has to be confronted. And so when you're going to own it all, when I can own it all, when I can only call my own name, and then there are no others, and then there are no is-this like something, then I'm not at issue. If I'm at issue, it's with who I am with myself, distinct from with other people, because other people are within my awareness and my point of view and my beliefs and my ideas and my experience. So I wrote this the other day, or the morning I woke up, and so I was so it's along the memorial of when and the future of then. So when is along the memorial of when, which is what was, and the future of then, which is what will be. Now is the present and present gift for possibilities and opportunities. Still and yet, the probability of untapped potential simply and complexly deems free the bleep up willingness. I had to say bleep. Historical keepsake journals of experiences, perceptions, beliefs, interpretations, and documentation evidence as to what happened, what was, as well as what if, what about, what might, and what could be, save, projections. So, where are you in this open moment of now, or historical now, or projected now? This is the real conversation. So where are you in between was, when, and now? Where are you in the realm of consciousness? That space in between everything, actually, but exists in potential. So now we look at that in potential, everything pre-exists our awareness. Everything pre-exists our our awareness. So it's a matter of probability. So the probability of where you like to be, given where you are now, and given the journey, what's the probability of being complete wherever you are, whenever, whatever? Like that kind of conversation. Back to you.
Yeah, all good. Linda, go ahead. But no, there it is. That is the conversation. Yeah, I want to. I think I'm gonna bring it down to junior high level. We got to take it down to junior high. So you PhD with it. We got it. I need junior high.
So what I'm interpreting it as, is what I'm listening to, is that I have a basic need to be accepted. And I think we all want to be accepted, but what I have to remember is that I can't get caught up in another person's consciousness of what they think I am. I think that's what happens, is you get caught up in another person's consciousness. So they may be limited, you may not be limited, but because you're allowing yourself to get caught up in their consciousness, then you start to limit yourself.
And I think that's on target. And I would even push it a little bit further and say that it's not even so much that we're caught up in the other person's consciousness. We're caught up in our own thought and assumption of what the other person's consciousness is.
Exactly.
Because sometimes you can think, you walk in a room and it's like, man, nobody likes me in here. And nobody's even thinking about you.
That's true.
You know, no, right. So it's not even that we're in someone else's. So when you walk in a room and you're like, oh, well, I'm uncomfortable in here, I don't know. Like, what is making that happen? It's not because they hate black people, even if whether they do or don't. It's not.
Yeah, because sometimes we don't realize that we become self-centered. We don't realize that. I officiated a wedding this past Saturday. A bunch of very well-to-do, clear cousins called Caucasians. I call them clear cousins. When I worked at UCLA, that was our code word. The clear people, clear cousins. And so what I was noticing was all of them were very kind of curious. I said, oh, you must be the preacher. I'm going to be the preacher. You must be, oh, because the bride described this, and I said, oh, it's very lovely to meet you. It's like, it was right here. And so it was interesting. So people were staying there, was sharing all kinds of things with me. How do we get this far into your life conversation? And so, because I'm there to officiate the wedding. So I then was just very mindful about the self of myself. It was irrelevant. Everything else was irrelevant. Just the self of myself. So I was just being. I'm mindful about doing anything, because doing can often take a bit of effort, can often take a bit of exertion, can often take a bit of struggle. So if I shift from in terms of doing into I'm simply being, I'm simply in the flow of being, I'm in the flow of being. Okay, that's an interesting.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice one way or another, whether it's meditation or whatever it is, to get to a point. Because, for example, what is happening when you walk in a room and feel uncomfortable, like, oh no, what are they thinking about me? Or anything. When I walked in this room, and hopefully somebody was happy to see me, like when I first walked in. But what would make you, I think so, what would make you happy to see me is versus if anyone else walked in particular.
Right.
But yeah.
But like I said, there's one thing. It's not what they're thinking about you, it's what are you thinking about them.
No, I know. This is what I'm saying. So I'm not, it's not about me. I'm not talking about me. That was just one example.
I know, I was just saying that just
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah. What I'm saying is, so when I walked in and somebody's like, oh, yeah, there he is, right? And I hope somebody said that right, but that's not my point. My point, even though I really do hope somebody likes me, but that's not my point. Thank you. But what my point really is that what makes a person, when I see someone, I go, oh, there she is, oh, there he is my memory, is my memorial of when. Because every time I see that person, they lift me up. So I'm not even, but I might, maybe when I see them today, maybe they're in a bad mood. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they're whatever. Maybe they don't feel like talking to me. But when I see them, I remember the person I knew. And then if they give me something different than the good feeling that they gave me the last 3 times, then I say, well, what's wrong with you? But they're just being themselves. I'm seeing the past. That's why anybody and here's just, I don't even want to, sometimes I start spelling this stuff out, it's too much. But this is what makes a person, like if you have an artist that you really love, a musician, let's say, and you go to see the concert, you're excited versus a brand new person that you've never seen before, singer. They could be better than your person, but you already know, before I let go, right? Stevie Wonder, right? You already know. And so as soon as Stevie Wonder walks out there, you just start screaming. He hasn't even done anything. He could have laryngitis today. He could be whatever. But as soon as he walks out there, you're ready.
So what you just said was this, in my listening, that our emotions are our memorial history. Your emotions, with the subconscious, those are your historical memories that have about 95% influence over your conscious mind, conscious thinking. So emotions are, what are emotions? That's how you get triggered. Your emotions get triggered. That's what gets triggered. Yeah. So that tells you you're now in the past. You're now in the wars. You're now in the wars. You're now in history. You've now just regressed.
Yeah.
You've now just regressed. Yeah. And so when you regress into the past, there's nothing, you're not available for anything further in the present.
No, that's okay. Right. You cannot. And then I think, go ahead if you can get the mic again. But absolutely, and you are in the past, and you'd be amazed how often, really, unless you are totally meditating and in the present now Zen moment, and now is only about half a second at the longest.
And here's the thing: your history, what was, exists no place except in your energy field. Except in your frequency.
And
no place.
The genetic history exists also. And so if I got an ancestor who was, beat up by the police and never really got over it and had this chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
That is a part of when I see the police go down the street. In addition to everything else, I've been told it's not the present moment. Here's the police officer. Oh, maybe he's going to help me. Maybe this is going to be a bright day. Maybe everything is working for my favor. Like if I was in the present moment, that's what it would be. Oh, hey, officer, so happy to see you. It's so wonderful in this present now moment.
I have a question.
Just 1 second. You become a carrier of what didn't belong in your direct experience. You become a carrier of, like you have a predisposition, they say in medicine, to inherit what your grandmother had. So how about a predisposition to inherit? Okay. See, right there.
Yeah, you can clear it though.
See, you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's go D and then let's go Jess, and then I'm sure we'll have something else to say, Dr. Claire.
Okay. So I had a conversation like this last weekend. So in other words, what you're saying is through our DNA, how can I put it? Our history is passed down, even the energy that we don't see, through our minds. Like when I walk in a room, you're not having a conversation, but my conversation is, oh, they think this dress is ugly. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying? It has nothing to do with the other person. So if I heard you right, earlier you said that language that we speak is the language that we listen, and the language that we listen is the language that we listen ourselves.
Yeah, it said we don't see the world as it is.
As
We
it
see the
is,
world
we
as
just
we
see
are.
it through our own
Yeah.
interpretation.
And that
Okay.
is literally true just from a physics level. Two
Absolutely.
things that
Yeah.
this is just a packet of atoms.
Yeah.
See, as a matter of fact, if I do that too fast, depending on the camera, it looks different on the camera. It starts looking different on the camera.
Yeah.
But so our memories are in our cells. So I got some advanced metaphysics for you. You ready?
Okay.
All right. When you were conceived, that was the DNA of your mother and father joining together. And all of their memories and all of their parents' memories are in those two cells, sperm cell and egg cell.
So are you saying that we are a composite of our genetic lineage?
Yeah, our ancestors.
Because the DNA are the elements out of which the genetics are formed. So there's the DNA, those elements out of which the genetics are formed. So now, here's the thing. Here's I think not forbidden. Here's the real truth: is that we have 100% power over what we inherited.
Yeah.
Because we also
That's the good
inherited a
news.
full conscious
Yes.
will also.
That's the good news.
A full conscious will with a particular program.
Yes.
Because that's what makes it possible. The program is like, okay, 2 eyes, 2 ears. You better be glad there is a program. And a memory capacity. So that's all hardwired, but then there's also that spark of creator, of eternal in there also. So it's not just a genetic weaving together, forming a physical body.
No. So in other words, the free will is the fail-safe opportunity. This thing called free will, that's the fail-safe opportunity over any this and that. Now, to exercise that free will, to be freed up. Eric, put that back on the.
It's tough. Yeah.
Put that back. Put that back on the board again, please.
Yeah. Okay. And while we're doing that, go ahead, Jess.
First off, I really resonated with what you were saying in terms of we all have full dominion over like our epigenetic pizza pie.
What you are, when you say we have, what you are, because if you identify as what you're not, how you identify. So if you identify as anything of time, okay, that's where perhaps.
Claire, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Oh, I was saying. What was I saying? What was I saying, Jess?
If you identify as anything that is attached to time, it inherently is identifying as what you're not, because it's technically in the was and it's not your present moment.
Yeah, because you've taken in so much. You've taken in so many things. You've identified with so many things. So what you've identified as is, listen, we all have what's called a presentation. We all have a personality. And then there's what we are behind the personality and behind that. But usually it has to do with things of time, you know, as to what we like, don't like, our opinions, whole bunch of stuff. But what you are is not of time. And that's where your power, that's the power of what you are.
But you know, I had a question. Sometimes I've had experiences, or at least I know those, and then I can relate to those from other people too, of where the who you are-ness becomes hijacked by like traumatic experiences. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the experience itself. It is the judgment of people close to you that are advising you of all the things that you should have been to avoid the traumatic
Now, are
moment.
you judging their judgment?
I wouldn't say so. I would say I would be judging myself based on being receptive to what I'm being told. So if the person says I should have been more vigilant like this, I say, oh yeah, I guess I should have been more vigilant like this. Or if it said, oh well, I should have had my keys in my hand like that. Oh yeah, maybe I should.
So
have
then,
had my
are
keys
you
in my hand like that.
then in agreeing and disagreeing conversation?
So where the discord comes in is later on.
Well, see, but right there, that's a judgment. See, right there. So what if that's a value judgment? Like, you don't, you're wrong because I'm right.
I would actually say it's the opposite that's happening. I'm internalizing the thing that the person said as I'm wrong and they're right.
Yeah, but so where is that coming from, though? Where is that coming from? You gotta slow down. Where is that coming from? The right wrong thing, where is that coming from?
So it comes from not wanting to experience a traumatic experience again.
See, right there. Not wanting to. See, you're already you're in opposition with yourself. You're in opposition, you're in self-conflict. You're contrasting this versus that. So that's just what there is, just to notice that, Don't have it be about something or not be about something. Don't have it be about something or not be about something. Simply notice it. There's a power in simply noticing. The minute you go into heaven and be about something or not be about something, you're now in the dance of opposites and contradictions. So if you notice it, that takes a lot of discipline, just to note, a lot of practice, just to notice it. I call it discipleship, just to notice it and not edit it, not give it meaning, not anything. Don't mess with it. You're simply noticing. There's a power in simply noticing. And you will notice it and simply noticing, you will notice something occurs that you can't do, that you can't, there's no fixing, it doesn't apply. There's a power in just being in presence, being in awareness. That's a power. That's a power.
How does that guarantee my safety? Because if I'm in the space of still being in control of the traumatic moment,
Yeah,
I
but
can
safe
have a
from
hard
what?
time.
Safe from your feelings and emotions?
No, safe from the trauma. Safe
Yeah,
from
but,
the.
yeah, but where's the trauma taking place?
Well, that's what my vigilance would like to know. That's why it's always there and kind of
So
like
stay
eating
with
at
me for a moment, but we're going to move on. Stay with me for a moment. What is the source of the trauma? Because that's historical. That's old stuff. That's old stuff, old woundings, old touches. So you got to just be with that feeling. Be with that. Allow that. Give that space. Because you tend to want to get away from and get out of it. Okay? And then all you do is empower it. So just be with that. Be being with that. And stop doing. Stop knowing. Stop analyzing. Just practice. And I know it's tough because something is triggered. When I don't feel safe or I don't feel secure or something's wrong here, something's wrong. No. Stop script writing unless you get paid to write a movie. Just be being with, just be being with what you're noticing. That's very powerful. Because you're seeking a way out. And there's no way out of where you are in your own consciousness.
Yes, because in the midst of being judged, that's the first thing that I would want to do.
Well, yeah. So you're looking for a way out. The way out is to be still. And just be with what's there. That's the way out. You can't go around what's there. You can't go under or over it. But just being allows it to radiate out. Because it doesn't have power over you. But you give it power that means you think it's something. Only you can give it power. So just stay with that for a moment. Or
Yes.
so. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Without bringing an opinion to it. If you have an opinion, your opinion will opine, and you will be in the experience of your own opinion.
And your whole universe will spiral in that direction, whether it's good or bad. Everybody has two grandfathers, right? First one died, oh Lord, oh my God, that's so terrible, oh my God, I never want to feel this again. So then I spend as much time with him as possible, don't die, and then when now he's dying, no, everybody pray, you're not praying hard enough, because I don't want to feel that again, don't die. And then as soon as he dies and it goes flatline, oh God, here we go again. But ultimately, that is my choice, ultimately. Now, all the programming and all the triggering and it hurts and everything, I don't understand that it's a choice. And I'm like, I'm totally depressed. I can't get out of bed because my grandfather died. No. I'm just not getting out of bed, ultimately. Or I don't feel safe because now there's a real physical safety and everything to life. And that's very real. And even that is a function. You know how they say dogs smell fear? Human beings smell fear too. So the dogs leave you alone depending on how you step up to the dog. And the white people treat you a certain way depending on how you step up to the white people. And, opposite sex treats you a certain way based on how you approach the opposite sex. And so it is not, they treating me, they doing this, they doing that, or it hurt when that happened. Of course, that's human. But now we're not just talking human, we're talking divine. We're talking power. That it is and so it does, as she said, and then I'll stop for now, is to allow it. So even in Zen meditation, if you're sitting there, you're just sitting there and you're still. And inevitably what will happen is your nose is going to start itching. Because when you're doing Zen, you're not supposed to scratch your nose, you're not supposed to move, you're supposed to sit there. So sure enough, this is the first little lesson. Your nose starts itching. Now, with the old conditioning or the common conditioning of what we're talking about, oh man, my nose itches, but I'm not supposed to. This is all going on in your head. I'm not supposed to scratch it. And there's 7 of us in this room, and if they see me scratch it, then they're going to think they're better at meditating than me. But it really does itch, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And now your brain starts going like that. Versus when it starts to itch, you notice it. My nose itches right now. That's different from what I was doing before. My nose itches right now. It's not the end of the world. It's not drastic. It's not going to fall off. It itches right now. And if you can just sit there and look at that without judgment, it'll actually stop itching. Because it's not real anyway. What is a nose itch? It's not real. And none of it's real, actually. It's what we make it.
Yeah, and a little bit later, when I show you this one little clip with the hidden power, but also there is another one I was watching. The physics of everything, the physics of what we are, is so amazing, and so it sounds so much like if we were really teaching the mind science of mind, we'd be having these kind of conversations all the time. And I thought, wow, look at that. So, but I just want to share a little something. I remember when I first graduated as a practitioner, that's the first thing I did. And I graduated from Founders, so I kind of felt, okay, I know people, I'm comfortable. And then I went to a workshop at Agape from one of my TAs. And so the energy there was, very alive and vibrant. I go, whoa. So I go, I'm going to transfer my license here because your license, you have to move it with you, blah, blah. So I remember when I went there, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, I don't fit in. I don't have any friends. No one's talking to me. I don't belong. So all of my unresolved insecurities, all of my unresolved of not being a part of, all of my unresolved feelings of not belonging came up. So it occurred to me, and I observed myself standing up and saying, to my surprise, I said, I just realized the only thing between me and everything is a thought. And so I can see that this thought that's in between me and being complete with myself here is a thought. So what I'm going to do for myself is I'm going to, whoever I see looking as though they're having fun and laughing, I'm going to go over and stand with them. I don't care if I look foolish and crazy, I'm going to stand right there and chew gum. And everyone started laughing. So at the break, people say, I'm going to come and stand there with you too. I'm going to stand with you, stand there and look crazy too. Because so many people felt the same way. It never occurred to me. I thought, I'm isolated. I'm isolating myself. This thought is isolated. So the thought that I was having about all of this isolated me in my further potential. That's what I saw. So out of that, I began to practice not isolate. No matter how I felt inside, how I felt insecure, whatever I felt, I was going to still associate myself with someone to to heal that trigger. Just a moment. So we have to begin to notice our triggers, whatever our words are for those triggers. I feel insecure, I feel shame, I feel whatever it happens to be. Notice that trigger and own it. Own it. Don't transfer it on. Own your trigger. Own your feeling. Own your point of view. Own your whatever it is. Own it. That's powerful. And so I remember I used to hide out a bit because I used to hide out. So I came into a meeting one day, and the minister was asking people, if you come in late, you gotta sing a song. And I go, really? So I came in late, and I slid down in my seat so he couldn't see me. I slid all the way down behind a chair so he couldn't see me. So the next meeting, I said, when I came in last time, I hid so I wouldn't be seen. Look at that. I hid so I wouldn't be seen. Look at that. It was important to feel a part of and belong, and yet I found I was hiding myself not to be seen. Okay, so that tells you a lot of history there. Okay, and so I stood up and I said, the last time I came, I hid myself so I wouldn't be seen. I hid myself so you wouldn't notice me. I hid myself so you wouldn't ask me to participate. I hid myself so you wouldn't call on me. Listen to that. Now, I'm interested in being a part of, but yet, see that? Oh, that contradiction. So I said, so I'm going to stand here. I'm going to sing one line in my song. So I did. I went up there, took the microphone, and I used to love those old Dr. Watts hymns from the South, and I sang one, and so a charge to keep I have, and so all of a sudden it looked at me like, what? And so out of that, Gene was there. Out of that, I ended up at one of the biggest events they were having on the stage, singing in between the ministers. And I'm going like, and I kept trying to leave, and he kept pulling me back. But see, I practiced healing myself, healing where I stopped myself, healing where I felt uncomfortable or insecure or shame or embarrassed, healing that. So we have to own it. And when you own it, guess what? It no longer owns you. What you don't own will become a master in your life. And that would be a no. Okay, so who has something to share? Speaking yourself, speaking the self of yourself, speaking the self of yourself. Microphone so that they can also hear you.
And I know this has all been said before, and there's a lot of books on it. I know that. But I know that what I'm thinking about myself will, if I think I can't do something, I won't be able to do it. Or, I can stop myself from moving forward. And so I have to be conscious of what I'm thinking and what I'm listening to, conscious of, am I getting caught up in someone else's thoughts? So it's an inside job. So Ashe.
Ashe. And then to notice, if you get caught up in someone else's thought, it becomes your thought you're caught up in. That's the other, that's that little balance right there.
Yeah.
Right. If I get caught up in anything, I have owned it, I have claimed, and then it's mine. I have to own that. That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
It's very tricky.
And you have to, or you don't have to do anything, but to know and it takes awareness to know what you're caught up in. And so that's why it's so fascinating with the travel, to see another culture who they're caught up in different things. And if you've ever been to another country and you're like, man, why are they doing that? That's stupid, right? But it's not stupid, it's their culture, it's their way of being, right? But they are caught up in something else. But we're caught up in something else too. I mean, we're caught up in basically what we're fed. Don't get me started. You could talk news, you could talk a lot of things. But it's really, and when you're talking to someone, and even in the election, I'll just say this, when you're talking to someone, aren't you both just kind of repeating what you heard, even if you don't admit it? But see, now I heard Kamala doesn't know what she's going to do, And so then when I'm talking, I say, well, she might pick, homeboy for vice president. What do I really know about that? I heard she's not going to pick the other guy. I heard she's going to pick homeboy. But what do I actually know about that except what I've been told? But I argue with somebody about it.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself, what do I know about what I've been told? What do you know about what you've been told? And what do you know about what you consider that you do know? You consider you know, okay, so what do you know about what you know? And so and here's the thing. If I really consider, I think I am is a great way to speak. But if I consider I can't, I have to inquire, where is that idea coming from? That I can't, that I am limited, that I'm restricted. That's race conscious conditioning. That's conditioning. So I used to tell my boys, especially Michael, he'd say, I don't know. I said, great, that's so intelligent to know what you don't know, because that's your beginning point, not your stopping point. So get busy. So here's the thing. You know the old song that said, God can do anything but fail? Well, how are you identifying? Are you identifying as a mere mortal? You have to ask that, because the polarity of what you are is not mortal. So you have mortality in terms of cellular configurations, but in terms of the source of that cellular configuration, which is non-physical, pure spirit, we call it God. I mean, that's immortal.
You are being God now. It's not even like, man, let me figure out how to be more divine. You're being it, because when you say, man, I'll never be able to fill in the blank, you just said it, and like you just spoke your word, and that prayer is going to be answered.
So are we being limited then if we say we can't?
Well, in a sense, obviously, but in a sense, no, because you're not limited. You're so powerful. If you think you can't, you can't.
Well, I'm saying, if I believe I can't,
yeah,
if I consider
no,
I
you
can't,
Yeah,
is that self-limiting?
yeah, yeah.
Say it again.
Well, your belief or your knowing is your reality. No, no, I'm not going to. You said, no, you don't know if your belief is your reality. You don't know if, I'm not saying, hey, I believe when I go home, there'll be a cardboard box with $1 million sitting on my front porch. And then when I go home, it's not. That's not a belief. That's a thought, but that's not a belief.
And also, it's also just talk.
Yeah, but that's not, I am all well, I am in the goodness of everything, everything is all well, and I am not angry, right?
It's just talk. Like when I was in the hospital at surgery, and my son said, Mama, I said, boy, I'm not claiming sick. Because if I claim sick, I'll have to undergo sick. I'm going to claim well even while my body is still coming together.
But it's more than just talk. It's very easy to say that.
I'm not talking, I'm speaking.
You claim it to the point where you just claim it, you just sit there until you start feeling better.
No, you speak it forth.
Yeah, you are, and then you find it. Because whatever you speak, see, whatever you, when you're looking for something, you find it.
And talking is your mouth moving. That's just your mouth moving. Talking is your mouth moving. Speaking is a whole different conversation.
Yes.
They're not the same.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. When you are, I was saying, if you look for something, you find it. If you look for, walk in a restaurant, look for something to complain about. Because I feel like complaining right now. So I walk in and I'm looking for something. You're going to find something. You're going to find, the fork has something on it, or the wallpaper. You're going to find something to complain about. And then the more you find to complain about, you're gonna find more and more to complain about.
Yeah, because you're speaking, you're then speaking dissatisfaction. If you're complaining, you're speaking dissatisfaction. Okay, and satisfaction does not begin with dissatisfaction does not begin with satisfaction. So you have to if you're gonna complain, you have to consider you are speaking your dissatisfaction. So now, if you are dissatisfied, can you complain? Somewhere in there, what is your request? There's a request someplace in there. You're either going to make a request or you can complain and moan and groan, or you're going to make
Yeah.
a request directly to source. So I can say, Sister Queen Goddess Alice, yeah, and at the end of that, there's nothing. But if I have a request, like something, I have a request. Now, a request says a person has options. They don't have to grant your request because it's not a demand or command. It is a request, like an invitation. Would you be interested? Would you be willing? Yeah, and so you have to be open to, okay, or you have to be open to no. Be open to, oh, how about this?
I'm gonna take a step back from that because
Okay.
even before we get there,
Okay,
when you speak your dissatisfaction, you become dissatisfied. When you speak your healing, what happens? When you speak your prosperity, what happens?
I'm considering that you are dissatisfied before you open your mouth. I think that I'm speaking from dissatisfaction. I'm speaking dissatisfaction from dissatisfaction.
But see, you're everything.
Yeah.
So you have it's like a dial with 100 or 1,000,000 different things. There's dissatisfaction, there's joy, there's peace, there's patience, there's all of it. There's pissed off, there's all of it. You're dialing up dissatisfaction. Of the infinite choices in the infinite, you're choosing the dissatisfaction channel and then speaking it. So you're right. So you're becoming that, but you can become anything.
I have a
That's the
question.
point.
Yeah.
Anything you
I
can.
have a question, and my question is there duality? And the reason I say that is because I can be thinking one thing and saying something else is coming out of my mouth.
Absolutely.
So could someone explain that to me?
Well, yeah, you're in duality.
Okay, so yeah, I got that.
But you know that.
Thanks, Miss Claire. Yeah, but I mean, I've observed myself, smiling and grinning and saying all kind of nasty stuff in my head on occasions.
That's called, hey Jean, I believe indeed that's called the being of human being.
Yeah,
And I was
Let me find words.
that, and D, that's very real. But do you know people that can see through it too?
yeah,
So now what's their deal? Because some people can't see through it. Some people are just like, well, she's smiling. She said everything's fine. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you're fine. And then some people are looking right through you,
Yeah.
past the words. Jesus said, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So
Yeah.
there's always, if you have enough discernment, back to power, with enough discernment, nobody can even lie to you.
yeah,
It
Well,
doesn't matter what you're saying.
yeah. You'll know. And then the other side of that is when observing that is to allow compassion, because that's the thing we haven't hit on, even with the triggers, is to give yourself the same compassion that you would give someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when you find yourself speaking out of both sides of your mouth.
Yeah.
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 Compassion. I missed a lot of that, but it's kind, being kind
Kind.
for yourself
Kindness.
and another.
Yeah.
It's a two-way thing. It's for yourself and another.
Yeah.
So, and it's very kind to be authentic.
Yeah.
It's very kind to be in truth with yourself and with others. So when we are compassion, distinction from being kind. Kind is can be kind of a nasty business there because you're kind in order to a few things, not to feel bad, not to look bad, not to sound bad. But when you're in compassion, when you are authentic with yourself, in truth with yourself, I'm in truth with you. That's nothing more beautiful. That's very divine.
I will say yes, and I will say there's something to a conscious. Now, sometimes I could feel bad and just be smiling. Sometimes that's not the best. But how else would I be able to change my frequency? And then particularly, I can speak as a leader. Sometimes I think it's wise to keep the ideals in mind, and fake is that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is choose. So if I choose the mission of guidance and I choose to live the highest ideals of what guidance are about, and to never, because I know everybody's going through their own stuff and dealing with it. So if they come to me, I choose to, as much as possible, give them the highest vibration. I choose to, it could be anything going on in my mind. It could be, looking at, can I just say this? I could be looking at a sister. I might think she's beautiful. And I'm a man, she's a woman. But in a ministerial context, I'm choosing something else.
You're choosing to be mindful. You're choosing to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
You're choosing to be in integrity.
Yeah, and I'm choosing who I want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm choosing who I want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Which is because that gets back to the difference between kind and compassion. Because if I'm being thoughtful with you, if I'm being mindful with you, if I'm being considerate with you, okay, that's out of who I am, out of my core essence, as a person, as a minister, as however we see ourselves in these different roles. I'm going to be mindful with you. I'm going to be considerate. I'm going to be thoughtful. And now that is the nature of kindness. Okay, but it's not out of kindness. It's the nature of kindness, which is true compassion, because it's been in consideration. So now there's no either or in here. There's no either or, and there's a count of one in there. There's no either or.
Yeah.
So, and that's that fine line distinction, that very fine line distinction.
I was literally looking at that yin and yang and thinking about that at that moment. Yeah. So even when and you choose kindness, whatever sort of past memories and assumptions and fears might be running through your brain, but I choose kindness. That's a choice, but make sure I'm not lying to myself too, because that other side of the coin is there also.
Exactly, which is different than being nice, because kindness different. Because nice can be very nasty business. Okay, and it's because nice can be, well, you got to watch out for nice. You got to watch out for nice. Got to watch out for nice. And so I know we're going to cut this for a moment, but we have a little video to share. Eric, can you put it on now? And then after the video, we won't show as much of it, but just a portion of it. And then we'll have some time just for what you are affirming in terms of closure. I hold to always have closure. So as we show the video come to a close, whatever you share, bottom line it, okay, so we have closure for now, in between this now, which will come when in about a day or two, and the next now. So there's the now of when we leave here, the now of the future. So in between now points. Okay, so Eric, can you put that on screen, please?
Sometimes
this is called I think the one I chose is the forbidden. Oh, which one? The one I had on screen. On the video.
Sometimes it can.
Thank you, my darling.
Sometimes it can be a very fun conversation to go down the rabbit hole on topics that nobody really knows what the 100% truth is. Topics such as ancient civilizations, UFOs, extraterrestrials, all that kind of stuff. Nobody really knows. So we brought on our next guest, Billy Carson. A lot of you know who that is, to have a speculative conversation about these subjects and what Billy's opinion is on how some of these ancient civilizations were formed, some of the technologies they may have had. It's a fascinating conversation, but it is speculative. Keep that in mind. If you like the show, head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please leave us a review. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us who you'd like to see on the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. Patreon. If it wasn't for you, this show wouldn't even be possible. Thank you. You're our top supporters. We love you. We do love you all too, though. So, everybody, enjoy the show, and I'll see you soon. Billy Carson, welcome to the show, man.
Great. It's great being here. From the first time I met you and you said you'd like to have me here, I'm glad it happened.
Me too, man. I've been wanting to get you here way before we met, and I actually got to tell you in person I wanted you here. I started watching you. Actually, I think I first found you on one of Dr. Greer's documentaries.
Okay.
And I really liked what you were saying on there, so then I found it on
This one says, Billy Carson, forbidden knowledge, SRS number 93.
That's what this is, but it's 3 hours long. So where do you want to?
Oh, keep forward, and then Eric.
Outside of this planet, the ancient tablets, an issue to control the narrative is their agenda. They want to control what's going on, what the people actually hear, what they see, what they understand about the UFOs and now UAPs. And one of the main reasons why, I think it all has to do with money. You see, I believe that there are UFOs visiting Earth from outside of this planet.
Okay, Eric,
That
you can cut. So what I will do next week, I will cue exactly where it began, because there was just a little section in there that I thought was amazing. I don't know if I think that's amazing. And so I will watch and figure out how to tune in exactly to, I think, what would be of interest to us for a further discussion. Because yeah, to interest of myself, that doesn't have my interest. Okay, so it's 7:25 in any case. So let's see, what is there to be complete for our time together? Like we said, you want to talk some more before they share for closure?
No, I'll just say that means yes. So for closure, it really is the moment by moment challenge of staying in the moment. Yeah, the moment by moment challenge of staying in the moment versus being wrapped up in past pain and everything. And just real quick, I was saying, people killed each other's families and then just said, it took them, years to get to this point, but they were just saying, well, but he killed your parents, he killed your daughter, he raped her, And they're like, yeah, well, you can't let the past dictate the future. And that's very true. That's very simple, but that's pretty powerful. And I walked out of there I walked out of there like, when my, ex's birthday, I could barely send her a text to say happy birthday. But they're forgiving people for killing each other's families. So how long does it take to forgive? What is unforgivable? How long does it take to forgive? It depends on, so the forgiveness is the work that has to be done. But the more power you have, the less time it takes to get the work done. You know, the more powerful the engine is, the faster you get to 0 to 60. You know, so we have all the power, but and to sit with it without a judgment, being aware of when it is a trigger. Anytime we're triggered, anytime we're, I was driving here and I was running late and I felt triggered and all that, and I was, but all that is just a trigger, and to enjoy the moment and to make it divine, since it is and since you are.
Exactly. Hey, Eric, can you put that writing back on screen for me, please? Because as Dr. Seth was speaking, I was thinking, it takes a lot of energy to have to repress and hold back yourself, to have to hold yourself back. That's what unforgiveness is. You're holding yourself back. So to hold yourself back, to hold yourself in hostage to your triggers, that takes so much energy. It takes a lot less energy just to simply be. And so, as we close, I'll give you the mic in a moment. Along the memorial of when and future of then, now is the present and present gift for possibilities and opportunities. Still and yet, the probability of untapped potential simply and complexly deems free the bleep up willingness. Historical keepsake journals of experiences, perceptions, beliefs, interpretations, and documentation evidence as to what happened, what was, as well as what if, what about, what might, and what could save the projections. So, where are you in this open moment of now, or historical now, or projected now? That's the conversation to share from this context. Where are you in this open moment of now, or historical now, or projected now, without criticism, without judgment? Where are you in this now? And what are you, and as you go forward, what are you open to in terms of being in between this moment in consciousness and the next? Please, everyone, share. You have the microphone already. So,
Closing, well, my summation on it is, for myself, just taking control of my thoughts and actions. I can learn from my history, but I can't live in it. But stay present, and I don't know what the future is, but just be in control as much as I can of what I'm thinking. Ashe.
Ashe.
Total agreement with Linda is to stay where I am. And I've been practicing that because of this thing, this political thing that's going on. So I've been into this mindset where just everything is okay right here, right now. You don't know what's going to happen, but you know divine order. So every time I get triggered when I see television, I've been turning it off if he's on there. And yeah, I'm settling and making sure that I'm not in hate or not seeing him as a person, because I know God made him. And so, yeah, I not control, but because I can't control it, it happens, and I get revved up. But I'm aware of it. As soon as it happens, I shut it down. That it's not going to make my life bad. And I remember my mother used to say, this is an old Black thing, it doesn't matter who's in the White House, you just keep living. Ashe.
Ashe.
I just believe in trying to stay in the moment. And as far as the election stuff goes, it's kind of hard, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it because I just, I think today I was driving and this man in front of me, he just almost stopped. And I went around and I said, you, and then I looked at him and I said, okay, that's part of me. That's a part of me. So, so I had to let that go. And I'm glad that I've changed and a lot of this has helped me. Even this teaching we get here, it has helped me so much in my life. Ashe.
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 Well, I am being, and I feel grateful about that. That's there is a peace with that I would like to explore and embody further. So I am very happy.
Ashe.
Ashe.
A wise old sage in church here said that nothing is nothing until you make it something. And I try to live my life daily with that knowledge that nothing is nothing until you make it something. And that's even with the car, with the election, with my son, with anything. Nothing is nothing until you make it something.
Ashe.
Ashe.
It's great to realize it's great to realize that we are creators. So what he just said was we are creators. He just said we are creators, we are source, we are cause. So when you can own being creator, we can own being source, you can own being cause, there's nothing more power. That's what makes God God as you, as me, as everyone. Okay. Miss Betty Ann?
So I am intending to get to the place where I know that what's being taught to me is also a part of who everybody else is as well, and not dismissing them, to know that the person before me has all the resources that they need to realize that they came from the stars as well. And I don't want to dismiss that in other people. So I'm not sure what I do when I'm reflecting on that, but my intention is to acknowledge that in other people, even if they're being, a-holes.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yeah.
And on Zoom also. Closing
Yeah.
thoughts there.
Yeah. Miss D, Miss Jean, Miss Jean, Miss D.
You can hear me, right?
Perfectly.
Okay. So, what came up while, I was listening to everybody sharing, is when my mind gets going sometimes, I just simply say, I don't have to believe this. And when I do that, I notice that it calms down. But the thing is to remember it, because once it gets moving, it's like on its own track. So this conversation is a reminder, and I always like to have reminders, because as long as I am in this experience, there will be times when the whole, the human thing is very present, and including that I know who I am, and it's still only one thing happening: spirit showing up as the physical. So as long as I keep that in mind, I'm good. Ashe.
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 Well, I'm left with many things, but I have two things. One is the things I do either give me energy or drain me, so I must choose wisely. And the second thing is a quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and it goes, "Learn to get in touch with the silence within yourself and know that everything in this life has a purpose. There are no mistakes, no coincidence. All events are blessings given to us to learn from." So whatever the lesson is in my growth, I own those triggers too. So that's what I'm left with. And it seems like everybody's on West Coast time but me. And so, and thank you, Claire, for inviting me to participate in this. I look forward to it every week.
Absolutely. Ashe.
Ashe.
So I had this thought that the the world around us, like the external world, as the things that occur and take place, that's not our dominion. Our dominion is the inner world. And so the only person in charge of our inner world, call your own name. That's who's in charge of your inner world.
Yeah.
And so, and the other thing is, and we find the synthesis where we're in harmony in the without as the within. Find the synthesis where we're in harmony in the without as within. And so you look at, okay, so where I have full dominion and full charge is the inner realm. So let me notice where I am in the consciousness of my individualizing state of consciousness. And that's where I have dominion. Let me so anchor that I'm not pulled into the external, any this and that. That's a powerful practice. And here's the tricky thing. There's no way out of being human, by the way. It comes with being human, and there's no way out of it. However, we have dominion over, because that's our being human is our creation. Being human is our creation. Oh, so therefore, we are in charge of our humanness, and our humanness is not in charge of what we are. That's what makes God in us, through us, as us. Hallelujah. With that being said, you have your own mic.
Thanks for coming out. God bless. Good night.
Amen.
Me? No, I did, yeah. And it's, yeah. No, she told me that too, yeah.
Oh, I love those pants.
Welcome back, Dr. Stephanie.
Thanks,
You made it
Yolanda.
back safe.